Sudarshan, any stocks that you would have on your radar for tomorrow's trade, particularly in the mid-cap space?
Well, I haven't thought about it yet, but I'm sure that some stocks will come up. I'm so sorry.
Okay, we'll give you another 5 minutes to think about it, and we'll go across to our other guests. In the meantime, you can cough up a few stocks for us. Mayuresh, what are you recommending investors to buy now? Because, you know, we are seeing signs of buying, especially in a lot of blue chip names, not just the Sun Pharmas of the world, but in the broader markets, you know, names like Syntex, Eicher Motors, etc. With a long-term horizon in mind, what would you advise?
Clearly, Sonia, I think the positions have to be light. I think one does not need to be over-aggressive in these markets. And having said that, I think within the auto ancillary space, specifically from the mid-cap universe, Eicher Motors is something we continue to like. Clearly, I think the story is twofold. So I think Royal Enfield has been carrying all the burden for Eicher over these past few quarters. But the CV cycle showing signs of improvement, and a good one at that one. I think Eicher Motors will benefit on a consolidated basis. So Eicher Motors is something we prefer. I think within the tire space itself, JK Tyres has got beaten down in a very big manner. So again, I think if you look at Tornel, its Mexican subsidiary, and the kind of capacity expansion plans that it has on its plate, and again, I think valuations, I think all these three factors supportive to give earnings momentum for JK Tyres in the quarters to come. And within the pharma space, I think Dishman Pharma is something we continue to like. I think the results are extremely encouraging. Going forward, I think we expect their key divisions to start performing in the first half of the current fiscal, and I think the earnings upgrade should start happening by the second half. So clearly, I think valuation is supportive, and the earnings should improve meaningfully for Dishman. So I think these are a few picks that we've got from the mid-cap units.
Mayuresh, are you worried about visa issues at Infosys as well as TCS?
So clearly, Rima, I think these are issues which, in our opinion and belief, I think should not have any significant financial implication. And clearly, I think if you look beyond this, I think the cross-currency growth should be quite substantial for IT companies. Valuations have got beaten down because of the corrections that we've seen in stock prices. And clearly, I think with the demand in terms of discretionary spending coming back, specifically on the US client base, our take is that the earnings growth should continue for IT companies. And again, as a comparative basis, I think the return on equity for most IT companies should be much better compared to a lot of pharma players, at least over the next year or two. So clearly, I think the top tier names is something that we continue to like. So Infosys, HCL Tech, TCS is something we believe can have a very good performance over the next 1 to 2 years.
Okay, Ambareesh, anything that you are recommending at this juncture, or are you still quite cautious on the market?
I'm cautious on the market still, but you still have those pockets where one can, I think,
nibble in?
Yeah, I mean, slowly start buying in, maybe just about 10% of your total quantity. And that's again in the power ancillary space, again looking at the sort of IIP numbers which you've seen for the last 5 months, and also talking to people in the industry, it's quite clear that order flows have been decent. So I would talk about stocks like L&T, BHEL, among the mid-cap ones, KEC, KEI Industries, in the smaller ones, Jyoti Structure. Possibly these are the ones which could be looked at this point of time.
You don't see that 8,000 support being held, Ambareesh, and where do you think, how low could the Nifty go according to you?
I don't think it'll hold on to 8,000. I mean, we have just broken that in the recent past. I mean, what we saw today is more of a dead cat bounce. It could possibly go to 8,050, 8,100, but finally I think it'll break that level of 8,000 decisively. And the way I see it is, it should settle more at about 7,800. But I don't rule out some sort of a panic selling to levels of about 7,500. I think that will be a great time to start buying in a big way.
Okay, so buy when the market goes to those 7,500 levels. But Sudarshan, any ideas that you have now for us for tomorrow?
Well, actually, Sonia, I have many ideas. Unfortunately, most of them are on the short side, so it was wise to keep quiet. See, look at cement companies and the havoc that is being created in prices. So you can consider going short in India Cement. Rima talked about Bank of Baroda and State Bank, but the weakest of all banks is Bank of India. There again, a short selling opportunity for tomorrow is opening up. And then, if just to balance it out, Bajaj Auto, not a mid-cap, is doing very well. So the slightest signs of market stability should take us to buying that as a short-term or even an intraday trade.
All right. Today, actually, JP Morgan has downgraded both State Bank of India as well as Bank of Baroda. So, State Bank of India has now got a neutral rating, while Bank of Baroda has got an underweight rating. But Sudarshan, what did you make of the 4.5% fall that we saw in Hexaware today?
Well, Hexaware, most of the mid-cap IT stocks are not opportunities. In fact, even for the large cap, I would step aside because the signs are that we'll go for a deeper correction. Maybe they are going to outperform later on, but as of now, IT is not in the list of possible buy. That list is small anyway, buying candidates, but IT is not in that.
By the way, that's some news. Sistema is in talks with Reliance Communications on a potential merger of their Indian telecom operations. So that will be, big news for Reliance Communications. Both of them are, their market share is not very high. So a combination will help perhaps in cutting down costs. So that will be, big news for Reliance Communications. Ambareesh, would you like to come in on this? What could it mean for Reliance Communications?
I think because of this, you could see an up move in this stock. I think this stock has been waiting for some sort of news. But then whenever you normally look at a particular sector, you don't go beyond the top 3. And I don't think even after, in case this goes through also, I don't think they'll be in that top 3.
Okay, well, let's try and get more details on this. But for now, the company is in talks with Relcom on a potential merger. We don't know what this merger would bring about on the table for both these companies. There will be a stock swap. That's the latest that's coming in. But Mayuresh, you want to give us a quick word on this, your thoughts, and also on Reliance Communications as a stock, how do you approach it?
Clearly, I think, as you rightly pointed out, I think in lack of financial information, very difficult to make an understanding of what will happen. But clearly, I think Reliance Communications has been underperforming, both in terms of their core business performance, and again, I think in terms of the business outlook, it looks a little bit patchy because of the kind of the leverage balance sheet that they possess. It's not like the other companies don't. I think Bharti's balance sheet is also equally stretched. Its African operations are looking a little bit dodgy when it comes to the Nigerian part. So I think I'll wait and watch for telecom guys, and as I said earlier in the show, I think with the spectrum payouts happening, a lot of their cash flows and return ratios are going to get affected, and the capex plans are very much on track. So for Idea, I think the capex plans are close to 5,500-6,000 crores, which is going to substantially eat into their free cash flows for this fiscal. So again, corrections is something that I'll wait for, but then Idea is something that I like, but I think you have to wait for significant corrections.
But would you consider Reliance Communications, if it gets merged with Sistema, would it then become a formidable player in the Indian telecommunications market?
So clearly, we'll have to work out our numbers on that. I'll have to sit with my telecom analyst to really work out the numbers. But at this point of time, I think Idea on declines looks like a much preferred bet within the telecom space.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by and discussing all of these topics.